Part 22. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 211. The condition just proposed is one that Xiaoping'an thought about all night long and may be accepted by the Judgment Army. If he had repaid all the divine springs from Yi Yang realm to Nine Yang realm plus hundreds of thousands of gold coins from the beginning, which would make the Judgment Army feel pain, then the deal would not be done. Reporting too little would not be in line with the value of this information. A member of the Blood Demon sect hidden in the upper capital was exchanged for a few divine springs and 20,000 gold coins. At this price, Xiaoping'an believed that the people above would want to try it after knowing about it. Even if it turned out to be cheated, the loss would be huge. Not big. Lan Wubai is not an idiot. He can be responsible for liaison with Xiaoping'an in the Shadow Guard, which also proves his ability. Just now, when Xiaoping'an mentioned Xuanhuan boy, and then talked about the information related to His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and the Blood Demon cult, Lan Wubai also had a flash of thought in his head. Could it be that Xiaoping'an had merged with him? The World Pearl of Xuanhuan boy, and then... But this idea only flashed in his head, and was immediately rejected by Lan Wubai. Even if Xiaoping'an fused Xuanhuan Tong's World Pearl, there are experts around the Crown Prince. Xuanhuan Tong's cannot get close to him, and His Royal Highness the Crown Prince should have arrived in the underground city a few days ago. At that time, Xiaoping'an had not yet obtained Xuanhuan Tong's world bead, so this information cannot be discovered by Xiaoping'an. Also, even if you take 10,000 steps back, assuming that Xiaoping'an can summon Xuanhuan boy does not have the ability to actively identify the members of the Blood Demon cult. It is impossible for Xiaoping'an to immediately find the Blood Demon cult as soon as he merges with the World Pearl. If members of the Blood Demon sect could be found so easily, there would be absolutely no place for members of the Blood Demon sect in the entire Shangjing city. To sum up, the intelligence brought by Xiaoping'an is of great value and must be taken seriously. The resources required for the conditions you just mentioned have exceeded the upper limit of resources that I can mobilize under my authority. I don't have any of those divine springs in my pawn shop. I must ask the superiors for advice, Lan Wubai said immediately. Okay, Xiaoping'an nodded. If the superiors agree, how exactly will the exchange be carried out? You give me something, I give it to that person tells me the information, and I pass the information back. Are you the middleman? Yes, that person doesn't seem to want to have direct contact with the Judgment Army. I guess it's because my strength is low, so he feels more at ease with me. How do you find that person? I can't find him. As long as I leave here, he will come to me. Wait here. After Lan Wubai finished speaking, he left the room directly through the secret passage, leaving Xiaoping'an in the room. Xiaoping'an was waiting patiently in the room. After leaving Xiangzihao's room, Lan Wubai came to his study through the secret passage. He took out his pen and ink in the study and wrote quickly. He quickly wrote a piece of paper, rolled up the note, and put it in a small bamboo tube. After doing this, Lan Wubai pushed open the window of the study room. With a flash of mist on his hand, he summoned a dark green egg. In the blink of an eye, the egg broke open, and a dark green bird emerged from the egg. He came out and stood on his palm and jumped around. The dark green bird ate the eggshells. When the whole bird's body grew in the wind, it became the size of a sparrow. It was dark green all over and was extremely agile. Lan Wubai picked up the small bamboo tube on his hand, and the dark green bird swallowed the small bamboo tube into its belly. It flapped its wings and made a slight buzzing sound. It buzzed directly from the study window. It flew out at once, with lightning speed, and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Lan Wubai left the study and continued to the front hall of the pawn shop. More than 40 minutes later, a guest came to Wuibai's eye. The guest said he wanted to pawn a family heirloom. Lan Wubai welcomed the guest into another secret room. Less than a minute after the guest left, Lan Wuivai appeared again. In the room named Xiang, I met Xiaopinggan. Lan Wuivai moved his hand, and a small wooden box appeared in his hand. He placed the box on the table in front of Xiaopinggan. Everything is here. Xiaopinggan opened the box and took a look. There were 4 bottles with different lights in the box. The contents of those 4 bottles were the divine springs from the 1 Yang realm to the 4 Yang realm. In addition to these 4 bottles, there were also other bottles in the alley. There are 20 golden tickets with a face value of 1,000 each. Xiaopinggan nodded and directly received the box into his space warehouse. When that person takes the things and completes the transaction, I will come back to you. You can tell that person that the Blood Demon sect is our mortal enemy. We don't care who he is or how he obtained the information. As long as the information he provides is accurate, we can clear out the secrets hidden in Shangjing City and Dashang country. Members of the Blood Demon cult, this kind of deal can continue in the future. Okay, Xiaopinggan nodded, put on the wig again, glued on the beard, and then left the secret room. Got 20,000 gold coins and 4 divine springs. As long as you master the key information and make reasonable use of the situation, everything is that simple. Wealth and resources that ordinary people can't access in a lifetime of hard work will just come. Xiaopinggan walked out of Wuivai's eye and went to the alley outside. Everything was as usual in the alley. There were not many people in the alley. Only the door of the brothel with the red lantern in the distance was still bustling. This is not a deal between the mysterious person and the Judgment Army, but a deal between Xiaopinggan and the Judgment Army. The Judgment Army has become Xiaopinggan's information monetization channel. Is the deal done? Of course not. If everything was so easy and the deal was completed like this, it would be an insult to the ability of the adjudication army and the IQ of the big shots above. A mysterious figure who can know the whereabouts of His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and the secrets of the Great Shang Kingdom, and who also knows the hidden members of the Blood Demon sect in Shangjing City. It is impossible for the people above to dig that person out. Although the thing is in my hands, I can't use it yet. Although everything around him was normal and Xiaopinggan did not notice anything unusual, Xiaopinggan knew that at this moment, he must be being targeted by the masters of the Judgment Army. Xiaopinggan walked towards the other side of the box just like when he came. But with a thought in his mind, the cute boy wearing a red belly band suddenly appeared beside him. The God of Fortune first jumped onto Xiaopinggan's shoulders and looked around. The next second, the God of Fortune disappeared from Xiaopinggan's shoulders in a flash. The God of Fortune jumped to the park not far away from the alley. In a shadow, he sat in the void of the shadow in the posture of sitting on a person's head, pointing towards his buttocks. There was nothing under the boy's butt, and there was no one at all, but Xiaopinggan's heart skipped a beat, knowing that the boy there had found a person whose whole body could be made invisible. Invisible, without any breath, this ability is too abnormal. Xiaopinggan continued to walk outside. The next second, the God of Fortune boy jumped up from the ground and was already in the sky. Xiaopinggan's perspective suddenly appeared in the sky. A grey goshawk was hovering in the sky thousands of meters above the ground. Its sharp eyes looked down at the city below. The God of Fortune boy was riding on the back of the grey goshawk and pointed at the hawk again. The grey goshawk's head also follows him. Such goshawks can be seen in the sky above the capital at any time, and there are so many of them that they don't attract anyone's attention at all. When Xiaopinggan walked out of Bailing Lane, the God of Fortune boy jumped on an insignificant-looking fallen warrior on the street. The fallen warrior, about 300 meters away from Xiaopinggan, was wandering on the street, hanging Xiaopinggan from a distance. Safety. Wherever Xiaopinggan went, the fallen warrior followed, the man with the transparent body and no breath followed, and the grey goshawk in the sky also flew high. If it weren't for the God of Fortune, Xiaopinggan wouldn't have noticed that he was being stared at by so many pairs of eyes. In the night, like a homeless man, Xiaopinggan walked through most of Shangjing City on his feet. It took him several hours to finally reach Titration, a sparsely populated area in the southern suburbs of Shangjing City, and climbed onto a bridge. Under the bridge, he skillfully found a sheltered place from the wind, picked up a dirty, tattered-looking quilt on the ground, covered himself, and fell asleep. It is perfectly normal for a wanted criminal whose identity cannot be revealed to become a homeless man sleeping under a bridge. As for those pairs of eyes staring at him, just let them stare. Xiaopinggan was a homeless man under the bridge for 2 days. On the morning of the third day, Xiaopinggan came to Wuviazai again. In the same secret room, Xiaopinggan took out the wooden box that Lan Wuivai gave him 2 days ago with a bang and placed it in front of Lan Wuivai. Everything is inside, untouched. What does this mean? Has the transaction not been completed? Lan Wuivai asked with a frown. I have said before that that person probably didn't want to deal with the Judgment Army, so he chose to do business with the Judgment Army through me. Because my strength is low, it is reassuring. It has been 2 days and that person has not appeared again. It's just that I heard it this morning. I suddenly heard a voice. The person said that he didn't like the 3 pairs of eyes staring at me. The transaction was cancelled. It seemed that the higher UPS were not trusting me and asked people to follow me to find out that person. The higher UPS sent, I think that person discovered it. I really can't complete this deal. If that person thinks that I am setting him up, I will be asking for death. Please ask the people above to hire Gao Ming. Xiaopinggan looked cold and said this. Then, turn around and leave. Lan Wuivai was obviously panicked and quickly stopped Xiaopinggan. Don't get excited, I really don't know that someone is following you. It is probably an arrangement made by the higher UPS who are worried about your safety. You wait here for a moment, I will confirm it. Xiaopinggan was waiting in the room. After more than half an hour, Lan Wuivai came in again, with a guilty expression on his face. Ahem, the higher-ups have removed all the people protecting you, and no one will be sent to keep an eye on you. That person should feel free to trade with you this time. Golden Summoner. Author, ZY Hu. Chapter 212. After listening to Lan Wuivai's words, Xiaopinggan nodded slowly, but his face was still a bit cold. I know the people above want to know the identity of the mysterious man, but I hope that the next time someone from above sends someone to monitor me. Can you let me know and be mentally prepared so that I won't be kept in the dark like this time? If that person thinks that I am deliberately luring him into a trap, have you ever thought about my personal safety? Now I am just a small summoner of the One Sun realm, and that mysterious man is much stronger than me. If he takes revenge on me, will I still be able to survive? Ahem. Lan Wuivai's face looked a little embarrassed. The shadow guard is like this, taking on dangerous tasks at any time. To be honest, I didn't know that the higher UPS sent people to keep an eye on you. I am not responsible for these tasks. It is probably the higher UPS. I was afraid that you would be distracted and exposed when you found out, so I didn't tell you, and I didn't tell me either. Those people who are staring at you are actually indirectly protecting you. Protect me, Xiaopinggan laughed at himself. Thank you very much. I didn't know that since I, a small One Sun realm summoner, could be protected secretly by several masters. Now that mysterious man already knew about me and the ruling. Due to my relationship with the army, I can no longer continue the task of infiltrating the Blood Demon section. If I infiltrate the Blood Demon sect, my life will be in that person's hands. My life and death will be controlled by others. How can he? If Tian is in a bad mood and reveals my identity to the Blood Demon sect, I will definitely die. This has been taken into consideration above. Since your identity is already known to others, it is not suitable for you to break into the Blood Demon cult. It will be detrimental to you and the Judgment Army. It will be easy for others to take advantage of you and break into the blood demon cult. We will arrange other shadow guards to continue completing the internal tasks of the teaching. Your main task now is to get close to that person and maintain communication with him. Once there is any news about that person, you must let us know as soon as possible, Lan Wuwei said seriously. Since there is no need for me to infiltrate the blood demon sect, then should my wanted order be cancelled? If the wanted order is not cancelled, I will no longer be able to appear in public in Shangjing City. I can only continue to hide my head and tail. These days it's not easy. We have investigated clearly what happened that night. Indeed, as you said, it was Sun Hao who was causing trouble from beginning to end. Before he disappeared, he had just had a very unpleasant encounter with the bounty hunter he hired. At that time, you were still being harassed. There is no evidence that you are responsible for the pursuit, and the two bounty hunters are very suspicious. You wait a few days, and the adjudication army will find a way to withdraw the wanted order against you. This is good news. Xiaopinggan breathed a sigh of relief. Okay, then I'll wait for your news. As soon as Xiaopinggan walked out of Wuwei's eye, left Bailing Alley, and came to the street outside, he called out the God of Fortune Boy again. The God of Fortune Boy appeared out of thin air, dangling his calves, sitting on Xiaopinggan's shoulders, looking around with his head, and only shook his head at Xiaopinggan after he followed Xiaopinggan out of the busy urban area of Shangjing City. Xiaopinggan was finally relieved. In order to obtain crucial information, the Judgment Army decisively gave up monitoring itself. Rather than figuring out the identity of the mysterious man, it was more important for the Judgment Army to dig out the members of the Blood Demon cult hidden in the upper capital. In the opinion of the senior officials of the Judgment Army, the mysterious man should also be an enemy of the Blood Demon sect, but they did not completely trust the Great Shang Kingdom, so they chose Xiaopinggan, a low-strength member of the Shadow Guard, to communicate with the Judgment Army. On the one hand, he wanted to use the help of the Judgment Army to eliminate the people of the Blood Demon sect, and on the other hand, he wanted to gain benefits and resources from the Judgment Army without exposing his identity. The mysterious man is very cunning and cautious, and his secret skills are so unpredictable that he can even detect the masters and arrangements that are staring at Xiaopinggan. There are crouching tigers, hidden dragons in the capital city, and there are powerful people from all over the world. People with such ideas and abilities are probably not unknown people. Let's first see if the information from this mysterious man is reliable. This should be the understanding of the mysterious man by the top management of the Judgment Army. After Xiaopinggan's hard-to-get performance, he had successfully convinced the top brass of the Judgment Army of the existence of the mysterious man, and they were all waiting expectantly for the information sent back by Xiaopinggan. At this point, those sacred springs and the gold tickets of 20,000 gold coins have officially become Xiaopinggan's possessions. Since he is not under surveillance, for Xiaopinggan, he has become a free body again and can follow the plan step by step. In the evening, when the lanterns came on, Xiaopinggan, dressed in gorgeous clothes, once again transformed into a Yang Cheng appearance and took a taxi to the Tianyuan Qiao night market. "Sir, Pengwang auction house has arrived." The coachman opened the door for Xiaopinggan, and the magnificent door of Pengwang auction house appeared in front of Xiaopinggan. "Okay, thank you for your work. There's no need to look for it." Thank you, thank you." Xiaopinggan got out of the car, took out a few silver coins to pay the fare, and then walked towards the gate of King Peng auction house amid the driver's thanks. Tonight, there were many luxurious four-wheeled carriages parked in the square outside the gate of Pengwang auction house. It was much more lively than when Xiaopinggan came 3 days ago. The carriage just passed by the Wu building in the night market. Xiaopinggan looked out from the car window. Outside Master Shuiyu's Wu building, there were still many people queuing up, waiting for Master Shuiyu to interpret their dreams. The business was booming. Tonight, the Pengwang auction house will hold an auction for the Dream Master World Pearl. Xiaoping'an is bound to win the Dream Master World Pearl. After showing the ticket for the auction that he bought 3 days ago, Xiaoping'an, who entered the auction house, followed the signs in the auction house and came to the auction hall of Daizihao. Tonight's Dream Master World Pearl will be auctioned in the Daizihao Hall. In addition to the Daizihao Auction Hall, the Penwang Auction House also has the Tianzihao Auction Hall and the Shenzihao Auction Hall. However, the two auction halls at the back are more high-end. Only high-end customers of the auction house are eligible for the items auctioned there. Participate. The items in Daizihao's auction hall were relatively more ordinary, but the 5 gold coins auction tickets still kept the vast majority of ordinary people out. The auction hall of Daizihao is like a huge conference hall. In front of the shell-shaped hall is the auction table. The surrounding seats extend from high to low all the way to the auction table. The entire hall can probably seat more than 2,000 people. People who enter the auction hall will receive an auction bid sign at the door. Everyone will find a seat in the hall according to the number on the bid sign. Xiaoping'an received a bid number 1569, sat in the middle of the hall at the back, and waited patiently for the auction to begin. People continued to enter the auction hall, both men and women. Judging from the appearance of those who entered the auction hall, they were all summoners with some wealth or rich people from the capital city. Some people come here to see the world, and some people come here with very clear goals. After Xiaoping'an waited for more than 10 minutes, the entire hall was almost 80% full. There were whispers in the hall and it was very lively. At 8:30 in the evening, an old man with silver hair in a black dress walked onto the auction stage from the backstage, bowed slightly to the people in the auction hall, and the entire auction hall quickly became quiet. Hello everyone, I will host tonight's auction in the Penwang Auction House's Dihao Hall. Tonight's auctioneer summoner special. I think everyone can't wait, so we won't waste everyone's time and get started directly. The old man was very experienced. As soon as he came on stage, he said a few words and then went straight to the topic. The first item in the auction today is 10 sets of Summoner's Foundation building beads, a total of 30. As the auctioneer began to speak, a slideshow of photos appeared on the white curtain wall behind the old man. Although the projected photos are not as vivid as those modern projectors on Earth, they still fully display the content and text in the photos, allowing people in the auction to see them clearly at a glance. What was projected was 30 foundation building boundary beads, a group of 3, neatly arranged. The starting price for these 10 sets of foundation building boundary beads is 3,000 gold coins. Each time you raise a placard, the price will be increased by 50 gold coins. Now everyone can bid. As soon as the auctioneer finished speaking, people in the auction room began to raise placards. For those who participated in this auction, many of them came to participate in the auction on behalf of certain families or organizations. These foundation building world beads can train summoners, so they are naturally very popular. Xiaoping'an didn't move, he just watched. In the end, after several rounds of competition, the first group of 10 auctioned foundation building boundary beads was finally photographed by a person holding a placard in front of them for 4,750 gold coins. After the first group of foundation establishing world beads were auctioned, the next 4 auction items were all foundation establishing world beads. The first 3 items each had 30 beads in 10 groups, and the last one only had 15 beads in 5 groups. The price of each set of 3 pieces is also around 4,750 gold coins, which is not a big difference. The price of the last piece is 2,450 gold coins. After these foundation building world beads were auctioned, the atmosphere in the auction house gradually became heated. The items that will be auctioned successively are all groups of the same type of relatively common boundary beads, with a maximum of 10 and a minimum of 5, such as the slave soldier boundary beads that Xiaoping'an fused before, and the Chinese riot boundary beads. These relatively common boundary beads are auctioned in groups here. When these world beads that were auctioned in groups were sold out, some of the more exotic and rare world beads and spiritual crystals began to appear gradually. The competition for those world beads and spiritual crystals in the auction became more and more fierce, and there were constantly people holding the sign. Many world beads and spiritual crystals were auctioned off at prices several times the starting price. Xiaopingan has been standing still and waiting patiently. Finally, after the auction went on for more than an hour, the Dream Master world bead that Xiaopingan was waiting for came out. As the light of the projector on the auction stage changed, a picture of a colorful boundary bead appeared on the curtain. Xiaopingan looked at the boundary bead and saw 8 small seal characters floating on the boundary bead. Tang Taizong dreamed of Xuanhuan. This is a very famous Dream Master world bead. The auctioneer on the auction stage began to explain, everyone should have heard of this world bead. This world bead is a twin summoning world bead. Fused, the successful person can not only become a Dream Master, but also summon the brave and invincible white-robed general. According to the archives of our auction house, the person who successfully fuses this world bead can get at least 85 points of divine power. The world beads, the starting price is 3,000 gold coins, and the bid will be increased by at least 200 gold coins each time a sign is raised. You can bid now. As soon as the auctioneer finished speaking, several signs were raised in the auction house. In a blink of an eye, the price of the world pearl was over 4,000 gold coins. Xiaopingan raised the cards several times, but in the blink of an eye, the price of the cards he raised was exceeded by others. Neither Nima nor Xiaopingan expected that the competition for this Dream Master world pearl would be so fierce. Xiaopingan raised his placard for the 5th time. The price of this world bead had reached 7,000 gold coins, causing a slight commotion in the auction room. 7,000 gold coins is definitely a huge amount of money. Just when Xiaopingan gritted his teeth and wanted to raise his placard for the 8th time, a cold voice suddenly appeared in the auction house, I will pay 10,000 gold coins. Happy May Day to everyone. There's another chapter tonight. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 213. Just now, when Xiaopingan raised his sign for the 7th time, the price of this twin summoning world bead that Tang Taizong dreamed of Xuanhuan had exceeded 7,800 gold coins. To be honest, the price reached here was completely beyond Xiaopingan's expectation. Xiaopingan originally thought that a Dream Master world pearl could be obtained for up to 4,000 to 5,000 gold coins, but he did not expect that this world pearl could reach such a high price. Xiaopingan is gritting his teeth and increasing the price, because the temptation of this world bead is too great. Once integrated, in addition to becoming a Dream Master, he can also get the summoning position of White-Robed Divine General. This temptation makes Xiaopingan irresistible. The White-Robed Divine General the auctioneer mentioned should be Xuanhuan. Xiaopingan is also very familiar with the illusion and legend that Tang Taizong dreamed of Xuanhuan, and it is easy to integrate it. But in this auction house, the rich one is me. The person who shouted out 10,000 gold coins was sitting in front of the auction house. This bid was 2,200 gold coins more than the previous price in one breath. Tens of thousands of gold coins for one boundary pearl directly penetrated the psychological bottom line of many people. Xiaopingan looked towards the bidder and saw that the bidder was an old man wearing black clothes and with a cold face. There was silence in the auction hall. After the old man bid, he stood up on his own initiative, looked around, blew on his beard, took out a thick stack of gold tickets in his hand, raised his face and continued to speak. Our young master, just I got the spiritual crystal of this twin Dream Master world bead, so our young master is bound to get this twin Dream Master world bead in today's auction. I have a gold ticket of 100,000 gold coins in my hand. Does anyone want it? If you want to compete with me, just raise the price. Everyone can compete. Looking at the arrogant old man, Xiaopinggan also fell silent and quickly evaluated in his mind. He didn't know the identity of the old man, but the young master behind the old man could let a servant or subordinate bring 100,000 gold coins to auction a world bead on such an occasion. The young master's family background was definitely not ordinary. The total gold coins in his hand are only more than 20,000. Spending more than 20,000 gold coins to buy a world bead is such a loss. It is definitely not worthwhile for me. Moreover, after raising the auction price of the world bead, I can not only get the world bead, but also get the world pearl at the same time. It will make you provoke an unknown enemy. This transaction is really a loss, and it is completely harmful to others and not beneficial to yourself. After some careful consideration and evaluation in his mind, Xiaopinggan secretly shook his head and wisely chose to give up. The other people who were vying for the auction of this world pearl just now were not fools. They evaluated each other and gave up one by one. After waiting for a few seconds and seeing that no one in the auction room spoke again, the auctioneer on the stage began to speak. Is there anyone else who offers a higher bid? If not, then 3, 2, 1. The auctioneer's small wooden hammer hit the auction table neatly. Congratulations to buyer number 112, this Twin Dream Master World Pearl is yours. Hearing the sound of the hammer falling, the old man who stood up sat back down in his seat. Xiaopinggan, who was sitting in the seat, smiled bitterly, feeling a little disappointed. Grandma, I didn't expect it to be so difficult to take a Dream Master World Pearl. It seems that it won't work this time, and I will look for another opportunity in the future. In the next 20 minutes or so, some more world beads were auctioned in the auction house, and then some spiritual crystals were auctioned, but Xiaopinggan did not take action. The divine sense crystal was useless to him, and the price of the boundary pearl in the auction house was very high. It was not the most cost-effective option for Xiaopinggan, who had limited funds, so he gave up. Just when Xiaopinggan thought that he would get nothing from this auction, a woman walked to the auction stage, whispered a few words to the auctioneer, and then got off the stage and left. Let me tell you some news. Our auction house has just received another commission from a customer. That customer is a bounty hunter who just got a Dream Master World Pearl from the sea. Because that customer is in urgent need of money, our auction house decided I will temporarily add a Dream Master World Bead to the auction. For information about that World Bead, please look at the curtain next to me. Following the auctioneer's introduction, the projection of another World Bead appeared on the curtain. Xiaopinggan's spirit was shaken by that dark red boundary bead. Because there are 4 small seal characters on the new Dream Master World Bead, Yanying interprets dreams. Among the many Dream Master World Beads, this one is quite special. Anyone who is familiar with the Dream Master World Bead should know that this Dream Master World Bead has another name, called the Death Dream Master World Bead. It is the most one of the dangerous Dream Master World Pearls. It is not as famous as the Twin Dream Master World Pearl just now. At the same time, the mortality rate of fusing this Dream Master World Pearl is very high, almost the highest among all the Dream Master World Pearls. If there is no corresponding if the Dream Master World Bead is fused alone with the help of the Divine Mind Crystal, the mortality rate is as high as more than 35%, but the success rate is very low. So far, we know that the successful fusion cases of this World Bead were all done by gods. The Mind Crystal is integrated with the fusion. I will introduce this to you clearly before the auction. Please make your decision carefully if you want to auction it. The auctioneer on the stage was introducing this World Pearl very seriously. As soon as the auctioneer introduced him, Xiaopinggan immediately understood that Yan Ying, also known as Yan Zi, in history was famous for interpreting dreams for Qi Jinggong twice. The most dangerous dream interpretation was when Qi Jinggong was conquering the Song dynasty. That dream interpretation at that time Yan Ying went out with the army. If the dream interpretation was wrong, the Qi army and Yan Zi might have finished their game. This should also be the reason for the high mortality rate after the failure of the fusion of this world bead. The auction base price of this Dream Master World Pearl is 1,500 gold coins. Each increase in price will not be less than 50 gold coins. The auction starts now. As soon as the auctioneer finished speaking, Xiaopinggan began to raise his placards. Compared with the twin summoning world bead from Tang Taizong dreamed of Shuirongui just now, this Yanying dream interpretation world bead with a high mortality rate and appallingly low success rate is obviously not as popular. For the auctioneers who bid for the twin summoning world bead that Tang Taizong dreamed of Shuirongui, many people only hesitantly raised their cards 2 or 3 times and then lost interest in the world bead. After Xiaopinggan raised his placard a few times, the price of the Dream Master World Pearl was raised to 2,650 gold coins by Xiaopinggan. 2,650 gold coins, is there anything higher? Is there anything higher? The auctioneer on the stage looked at the man who had just raised the placard to 2,600 gold coins. The man hesitated for a moment, and finally did not raise the placard again. 3, 2, 1, bang! Congratulations to auctioneer number 1569 for winning this Dream Master World Pearl at a price of 2,650 gold coins. Listening to the sound of the gavel on the auction table, Xiaopinggan finally breathed a long sigh of relief. 2,650 gold coins, this amount is considered an exaggeration. It is almost the most expensive world bead that Xiaopinggan has ever bought. The price of this Dream Master World bead is really too expensive. But fortunately, I got it. 20 minutes later, the auction ended. Xiaopinggan went to the auction house's delivery office with the ticket in his hand. After paying 2,650 gold coins, he took the Yanying Dream Interpretation World bead in his hand. After walking out of Pengwang auction house, the night market outside was still busy. It was almost time to spend 2,650 gold coins to harvest this world bead tonight. Xiaopinggan didn't want to spend any more money to attract attention, so after walking out of the auction house, he was on the side of the road, preparing to call a taxi to return to his rented yard. Let's talk about merging the world beads and becoming a dream master. Master, please wait a moment. There was a burst of hasty footsteps and a man's voice behind him. Xiaopinggan turned around and saw a panting fat man in his 40s chasing after him from behind. The fat man was slickly dressed, had 2 beautiful mustaches on his lips, and wore gold-rimmed glasses. He looked like a decent businessman. Are you calling me? Xiaopinggan turned around and asked. My name is Lu Linjia. The man smiled, took out a sterling silver business card box from his arms, pulled out a gold-gilded business card, and handed it to Xiaopinggan. Xiaopinggan took it and took a look. The name of Lu Linjia was printed on the business card, as well as his identity as the shopkeeper of Fuanyahang. The tooth shop is an intermediary company, but what does the Fuan tooth shop do? Xiaopinggan was baffled. Lu Linjia smiled. I just saw this young master auctioning a Dream Master World Pearl in the auction hall. Does the young master have any plans to become a Dream Master in the capital city? Xiaopinggan suddenly became vigilant. What does it have to do with you whether I am a Dream Master or not? Master, don't get me wrong. I am actually a Yaran who serves the Dream Masters in Shangjing City. You should know Master Shuiyu from Wuyu Tower. Master Shuiyu was also my earliest customer. His first customer was I introduced it to him. That Lu Linjia began to explain to Xiaopinggan. In the upper capital, there are many people who fantasize about making money from the Dream Master's profession, so the competition in the Dream Master's profession is also very fierce. Young Master may not know that just in there are more than a dozen dreamers in Tianyuan Kiao night market, but the only one who really makes money is Master Shuiyu. In other places in Shangjing City, there are many dreamers, maybe 500 if not 800, but not many make money like Master Shuiyu. Among those dreamers who don't make money, some are not good at predicting dreams. Most of them have no customers, especially some new dreamers who are not famous. It is even harder to make money. If you become a dream master, you can come to me and I can introduce you to customers. After hearing what Lu Linjia said, Xiaoping'an understood that it turned out that Lu Linjia was introducing customers to the dream masters in Shangjing City. It seemed that the dream-telling business in Shangjing City had developed to a considerable level. Intermediary dental shops that attract customers came into being. Okay, I'll come to you if necessary, Xiaoping'an put away the business card and saw a taxi coming to stop. He didn't talk to Lu Linjia anymore, then got on the carriage and asked the driver to go to the foot of Pingshan Mountain. Changle Lane. On the way, the carriage passed by Wuya Tower again. Looking at the carriages lined up in the small square outside Wuya building, Xiaoping'an became more and more certain that this dream master was really a good business to make money. As long as he integrates this Yanying dream interpretation world beat after tonight, he can make a living in Shangjing City with this. Golden Summoner. Author, Zy Hu. Chapter 214. Ah! Qi Jinggong screamed and woke up from his dream. He sat on the bed and panted, with a trace of panic in his eyes. Your Majesty. Hearing Qi Jinggong's voice, the attendants and guards outside the big tent rushed in. Looking at the numerous figures outside the tent and listening to the sound of armor rubbing against each other, Qi Jinggong, who was sitting on the bed, suddenly woke up completely. It turned out that he had just been dreaming. Qi Jinggong touched his forehead and was already covered in cold sweat. The scene in the dream just now was really scary. I'm fine, I'm fine. What time is it now? After calming down, Qi Jinggong asked the attendants outside the tent. Your Majesty, it's just past midnight. The attendant outside the big tent replied. I need to change my clothes, Qi Jinggong ordered. Yes. Following Qi Jinggong's order, the waiters outside the big tent got busy, changing and washing Qi Jinggong. After finishing all this, the neatly dressed Qi Jinggong walked out of his big tent. The sky outside the big tent has just dawned. The continuous military tents of Qi State are like a long dragon coiling in front of Qi Jinggong. The army has woken up and is preparing to bury pots to make rice. After breakfast, they will be on their way. The cars in the camp, the horse neighs, so majestic and majestic. It was summer, the sky was high and the air was crisp. Qi Jinggong's army had already arrived at the foot of Mount Tai. The towering Mount Tai in the distance was particularly magnificent at sunrise. The scene of Qi's army with strong soldiers and horses made Qi Jinggong feel at ease, but the dream last night shrouded Qi Jinggong's mind like a dark cloud. Qi Jinggong frowned. The dream he had last night was so weird that he was startled. Now that he was leading an army on an expedition, would the dream have any bad omen? With this in mind, Qi Jinggong directly ordered the attendants around him, call Zhan Meng. Yes. In ancient times, dream fortune tellers were always with the king, because all kings and nobles believed that dreams could enlighten and predict the future. The Yellow Emperor dreamed that strong winds would blow away all the dirt and grime in the world, and he also dreamed of men wielding powerful crossbows to drive thousands of sheep. Then he found two famous ministers, Feng Hao and Limu, based on the dream, and finally defeated Qi Yu and unified the world. This is how the Dream Divination Sutra dictated by Huangdi came into being. Ziboa flew into a dream and found the wise man Zhongshang. Only with Zhongxia did he have this Zhou dynasty. Therefore, this dream is not a trivial matter to the kings. It is a revelation from heaven and the gods. It contains good and bad luck and must be treated seriously. After a while, the dream fortune teller who followed the army came to Qi Jinggong's tent. After meeting Qi Jinggong in obedience, Qi Jinggong sat behind the high desk and said slowly, I had a dream last night. There was something in the dream. Two grown men glared at me and wanted to hit me angrily. I wonder what this dream is a sign of. Qi Jinggong's dream teller was an old man in his 60s. After hearing Qi Jinggong's dream, the dream teller looked at Qi Jinggong's face and thought for a moment before replying. The king led his army to cross Mount Tai without offering sacrifices to Mount Tai. The mountain god was angry, so he asked the king to prepare priestly supplies and asked Zhu Shi to sacrifice to Mount Tai and offer sacrifices to the mountain god. In this way, everything will be safe and sound. Hearing what Zhan Meng said, Qi Jinggong breathed a sigh of relief and his face softened. Then he quickly ordered the army to camp and prepare items for sacrifice to Mount Tai. A moment later, a waiter announced outside Qi Jing's public account, "Your Majesty, please see me." "Please come in, sir." "Yes." After a while, Qi Qiuqing Prime Minister Yanzi walked into the tent. This Yanzi is naturally Xiaopingan. He just opened his eyes in his tent. When he walked out of the tent, he saw many people in the army of Qi state busy preparing pigs, cattle, sheep, and other things. He suddenly, after asking, he found out that it was Qi Jinggong who asked the priest to prepare sacrifices for Taishan. Yanzi was short in stature and unattractive in appearance. According to the standards of this era, he could be described as ugly. If his identity was not revealed, almost no one would believe that he was a senior official and prime minister of Qi. As soon as Xiaopingan entered the tent and saw Qi Jinggong, he asked directly, "Your Majesty, I just saw someone outside preparing 3 animal sacrifices to sacrifice to Mount Tai. Several generals said that Your Majesty ordered the army to stay still until the priests finished. Mount Tai is starting again. I wonder why the king suddenly issued this order. I had a strange dream last night. In the dream, there were 2 men who were angry at me and wanted to beat me. The dream fortune teller said that the 2 men were the gods of Mount Tai. Our army crossed Mount Tai without performing the necessary sacrifices. Therefore, the mountain god of Mount Tai is angry, and I have just sent people to summon Zhu Shi to offer sacrifices, so the army will rest temporarily at the foot of Mount Tai for a day, waiting for the priests to pass by before setting off again." Hearing Qi Jinggong's words, Xiaopingan sighed at Yanzi's awesomeness. How could ordinary people interpret such a dream when they heard it? But when Yanzi heard that Qi Jinggong had such a strange dream, he already knew the omens of this dream. No wonder Yanzi left such a great reputation in Qi and history. The wisdom of these sages is unimaginable to ordinary people. After listening to Qi Jinggong's words, Xiaopingan thought about it and could only speak according to the historical script. If you are not familiar with history, no one will be able to integrate this world pearl. I'm afraid the dream fortune teller doesn't know something. The 2 people who appeared in the king's dream are not the mountain gods of Mount Tai, but the Yuan Zutang of the Song dynasty, and Yi Yin. When Qi Jinggong heard what Xiaopingan said, he stared in disbelief. How could it be Tang and Yi Yin? People who dreamed of it all said it was the mountain god of Mount Tai. I can also interpret dreams, so let me interpret them for Your Majesty. Okay, you can have it. Qi Jinggong became interested when he heard that Yan Ying wanted to have a dream for him. Of the 2 people who appeared in the king's dream, is one of them very fair-skinned, tall, with a beard, a head that is narrow at the top and wide at the bottom, a slightly curved body, and a loud voice. Qi Jinggong stared at Xiaopingan as if he had seen a ghost. And the other person in the king's dream has dark skin, is short, and has disheveled hair. Qi Jinggong had already stood up, and even his voice changed. How do you know the images of those 2 people in my dream? Qi Jinggong didn't even tell the dream fortune teller about the appearance of the 2 people he saw in his dream. Only he knew. How did Yan Ying know? The tall man with fair skin, a beard, and a short stature is Tang. The dark-skinned, short man with disheveled hair is Yi Yin. How could these 2 people be angry at me in my dream? Qi Jinggong asked in shock. Xiaopingan replied, Taijia, Wuding, and Ziwi are all well-known and well-known kings. Their popularity has not yet been exhausted, and they should not be extinct at this time. Now, only the Song dynasty has their descendants. Your Majesty wants to attack the Song dynasty, so Tang and Yi are angry. This battle is very ominous, so please invite your Majesty to return home. Qi Jinggong struggled for a moment. I have been preparing for this battle for a long time. The three armies have already moved, how can I give up halfway? The dream has foreshadowed that if your Majesty insists on attacking the Song dynasty, the battle will be disastrous. Please think twice. Xiaoping'an knew that Qi Jinggong still refused to listen to him and insisted on conquering the Song dynasty. However, what he had just explained to him in his dream had already taken root in his heart. Later, according to historical records, Qi Jinggong led his army to attack the Song dynasty and was still on the way. The army of the state drummed to break the general epidemic, and all kinds of stupid things happened one after another in the army. The morale of the army was low. Only then did Qi Jinggong remember the dream that Yan Ying explained to him, and then he gave up the idea of conquering the Song dynasty and hurriedly took charge of the army. Returning to China avoided greater losses. If Yan Ying interprets the dream incorrectly and Qi Jinggong continues to attack the Song dynasty, the consequences are unpredictable. Yan Ying who follows the army might get into trouble. Perhaps this is the reason for the high mortality rate after the failed fusion of this world bead. When Xiaoping'an walked out of Qi Jinggong's tent, the world of Jizu had turned into light and shattered. When Xiaoping'an broke through the Yang realm a few days ago, the upper limit of divine power in the secret mandala temple had reached 649 points. After fusing the 5 world beads in the past 2 days, his divine power increased again by 317 points. In this way, Xiaoping'an's divine power increased by 317 points again. The upper limit of divine power in the safe secret mandala has reached 966 points. As soon as the world bead of Yan Ying's interpretation of dreams was integrated, the divine power in Xiaoping'an's secret mandala increased by 40 points again. This time, the upper limit of divine power in Xiaoping'an's secret mandala finally exceeded 1,000 and reached 1,006 points. There are only 464 points away from the 1,470 points of the Yang realm. As long as you get a few more boundary beads, you can advance to the Yang realm just around the corner. Looking at the little bit of divine power floating in the caisson of his temple, Xiaoping'an was also a little excited. Sure enough, coming to the capital was the fastest way to improve his strength. There is already a relief sculpture of Yan Ying interpreting dreams in the temple. On the relief, Qi Jinggong's dream also appears vividly on the relief, with bright colors. Qi Jinggong's dream is the necessary skill of dream interpretation for dream fortune tellers. Dharma position. Mastering the dream interpretation technique is equivalent to becoming a dream fortune teller. The word dream on the mountain of golden words was ignited. The word dream blended with the word phantom in the mountain of words. The dream fortune teller's dream acting and the beacon fire prince's illusion were summoned. It seems that some wonderful chemical reaction has occurred. For a moment, something mysterious about the fusion of these two secret techniques appeared in Xiaoping'an's consciousness out of thin air. The words dream and phantom in the mountain of golden words resonated at the same time, blending together like water and milk. This change was completely beyond Xiaoping'an's expectation. He also didn't expect that after integrating the Yan Ying dream interpretation world bead, this world bead could actually cause changes in other world beads and secret techniques in the temple. It seems that he has mastered some new secret method. The next morning, Xiaoping'an looked slovenly again, wearing a wig and fake beard. He came to Wu Wei's eye again and saw Lan Wu Wei in the secret room. How is it? Has this transaction been completed? Lan Wu Wei, who was extremely nervous about this transaction, asked directly as soon as he entered the room, has that person told you who the members of the blood demon cult are hidden in Shangjing City? Xiaoping'an nodded, this transaction has been completed. The person told me that a member of the blood demon cult hidden in Shangjing City is Tang Wei, the elder of the Tang family who just arrived at the Dewan Guild Hall in Shangjing City a few days ago. Elder Tang of the Tang family, I'm sorry. Who told you to pursue me so hard in the first place? Let me take action on you, an old guy. Xiaopinggan said to himself in his heart. Elder Tang from the Dewan Guild Hall, Lan Wuivai's face was extremely solemn, and a murderous look flashed in his eyes. The second chapter will be released tonight. Golden Summoner. Author, ZY Hu. Chapter 215. Tang Wei from Dewan Guild Hall has been keeping a low profile in Shangjing these days. After the last gathering with several people from the Blood Demon sect, Tang Wei did not gather with the Blood Demon sect people again in the past few days. He only purchased some things for the Tang family in Shangjing City and met with a few business partners. Just yesterday, Tang Wei was preparing to leave Shangjing City. He and the Tang family said that he was leaving Shangjing City to visit some friends. In fact, he had already prepared to go to Bihai Port in advance and started preparations. Although Xiaopingyan didn't know the specific mission Tang Wei received, Tang Wei's visit to Bihai Port was definitely related to the Blood Demon sect's conspiracy. The Blood Demon sect's plan to assassinate the Crown Prince of the Great Shang Kingdom, Baitang Wangchuan, is advancing steadily. It is now April 23rd, and there is still time before Baitang Wangchuan goes to Bihai Port on May 15th to participate in the launching ceremony of the new generalship of the Great Shang Navy. More than 20 days. Apart from that, did the mysterious figure say anything else? Lan Wuivai asked. That person told me that he also knew another important figure of the Blood Demon sect hidden in Shangjing City. If we want to know the identity of that important figure, we need to bring out the divine spring of the 5 Yang realm and 100,000 gold coins as a reward. Exchange. The divine spring in the 5 Yang realm is more valuable than all the divine springs in front of it combined, not to mention the 100,000 gold coins behind it. When Lan Wuivai heard this condition, he frowned and took a breath of cold air. Why does he dare to open such a thing, condition? I asked him the same thing. Xiaopingyan sighed and spread his hands. He said that the important figure of the Blood Demon sect is hidden in the Imperial Guard in Shangjing City and can enter and leave the Imperial City at any time, and his identity is unknown. I know a lot of secrets about the Dark God of War cult. If you want to find out that person, just let us do it. What, there are people from the Blood Demon cult hidden in the Imperial Guard? Lan Wuivai was shocked by the news. It remains to be confirmed whether Mr. Tang is a member of the Blood Demon cult, but if there are people from the Blood Demon cult in the Imperial Guard, the situation will be even more serious. People from the Blood Demon cult infiltrated into the Imperial Guard, and countless people in the Imperial City had trouble sleeping. This matter was very serious. After hearing the news, Lan Wuivai walked around the room a little anxiously. When you were in contact with that person, did you feel that he was lying to us, or did you find anything special about him? Xiaopingyan shook his head. I didn't find any of this. When that person came into contact with me, he either didn't see anyone and could only hear the sound, or it was just a black mist. Now I actually don't even know whether that person is a male corpse or a female. I don't understand. It's probably because of my low strength that that person felt free to contact me. The person also said that he would leave Shangjing City soon and that he would not have much time to do business with us. If we still want to get help from him, if you know the secrets about the Blood Demon cult hidden in Shangjing City, you must as soon as possible. Wait here for a moment. I want to report this matter to the superiors immediately. As long as the Tang family elder is still in Shangjing City, we will soon be able to verify whether he is a remnant of the Blood Demon sect. How long? Soon. These important figures of the Blood Demon religion should all have participated in the Blood Demon religion's sacrifice ceremony. As long as the target for specific verification can be determined, the adjudication army will be able to determine in a short time who that person is and the Blood Demon religion. Does the demon cult have anything to do with it? After saying this, Lan Wuivai hurriedly left the secret room. leaving only Xiaopingan waiting here. Xiaopingan estimated that this method of the Judgment Army cannot be promoted on a large scale. It is either inconvenient to use, too costly, or both. Otherwise, if everyone in the capital comes to test it once, it can be easily implemented. Find out the hidden personnel of the Blood Demon cult. Xiaopingan patiently waited for the results of the Judgment Army's verification. As soon as there were results, the Judgment Army would definitely agree to the conditions he just proposed. More than an hour later, at the entrance of Dewan Guild Hall, Tang Wei had just walked out of the club when a flock of pigeons flew over in the sky. Tang Wei had just come down the steps when a puddle of pigeon droppings fell from the sky and landed directly on the ground in front of him. It spread out like a small bomb, covered with gray and white pigeon droppings. The dark and shiny shoes on his feet were stained all over the ground, leaving some specks. Tang Wei was also stunned for a moment, cursing bad luck in his heart. He had just come out of the guild hall, and he didn't expect pigeon droppings to fall from the sky, which was inevitable. The director of the Dewan Guild Hall was also watching Tang Wei off respectfully. He was shocked when he saw the elder's shoes were stained by pigeon droppings in the sky. "Elder, don't blame me. There are a lot of pigeons here in the capital. I will send someone to bring you water to clean your shoes, Elder," the curator said to Elder Tang with a smile on his face, and then turned to face the two museums next to him. The boy inside cursed, "What are you doing standing still? You have no eyesight at all. Elder Tang's shoes are dirty. Go get some water." After the boy in the hotel quickly fetched water and wiped Tang Wei's shoes, Tang Wei got into the carriage waiting at the door with a straight face. Before getting on the carriage, he told the driver, "Go to the Five Lakes Chamber of Commerce." The carriage that Elder Tang was riding in was driving on the bustling streets of Shangjing City. Tang Wei was sitting in the carriage, squinting and looking at the bustling streets outside with an indifferent look. After more than 40 minutes, the carriage suddenly stopped. Tang Wei looked outside from the carriage and saw a crowd of carriages on the street, all blocked together. As soon as the carriage he was riding in stopped, a carriage followed behind him and took him on it. The carriages were crowded on the road and could not even turn around. "What's going on?" Tang Wei opened the front window in the car and asked outside the car. "Elder, wait a moment, I'm going to see what's going on." Tang Long, who was sitting in front of the car, immediately jumped off the carriage and ran towards the front. After a while, Tang Long ran back and reported, "Elder, a horse was suddenly frightened at the intersection just now. It pulled a carriage filled with rapeseed oil and ran wildly in front of the road, hitting several carriages. Now there is a horse lying on the road ahead. The ground is twitching, and 2 carriages overturned on the road, blocking the road. There is oil everywhere on the road, and the police are already here, evacuating traffic and cleaning up the oil stains on the ground. About how long will it take? There's too much oil on the road, and the carriage still needs to be cleaned. I'm afraid it won't be finished in a while." After hearing this, Tang Wei got out of the car. He looked at the front of the road and saw that it was blocked for 70 or 80 meters. All carriages were blocked here, no less than hundreds. In just a moment, more than 30 carriages were blocked behind his carriage. A small rail train had to stop. This is the busiest street in Shangjing City. In a short while, the traffic jam on this road has made people's heads big. "Elder, do you want to wait in the car?" Tang Long asked. Tang Wei looked up at the sun above his head, then at the scene on the street, and shook his head. "This is not far from the Wuhu Chamber of Commerce. Let's walk there. If we have to wait, it will be too late. The road will be cleared in a while. Let the coachman come here by himself." "Okay." Then, Tang Wei and Tang Long walked from the road to the sidewalk and walked forward along the sidewalk. The sidewalks were bustling with people coming and going, and there were various shops on both sides of the road. Many people who were stuck in carriages and trams got off the carriages and walked through this block. There are many people selling flowers on the roadside. In April in Beijing, the spring is bright and the flowers are in bloom. Many farmers outside the city pick flowers and sell them in the city. There are flower sellers everywhere on the streets. Selling flowers, take a look at the freshly picked flowers, they are fragrant and cheap. An old woman wearing a blue bandana, slightly bowed, was carrying a large basket filled with flowers of various colors. Flower baskets are sold on the sidewalk. Passing by this kind of flower seller, Tang Wei didn't even glance at the old lady and walked directly past the old lady. There were many people on the street. When Tang Wei passed by, an impatient young man walked forward anxiously and bumped into the old woman's flower basket. The old woman's flower basket suddenly fell to the ground. The young man apologized quickly and helped the flower seller. The old lady picked up the flower basket that fell on the ground. Tang Wei had already walked to the front, so he didn't notice at all that when the old woman's flower basket fell to the ground, it happened to fall on the shadow behind him, and the flowers in the flower basket swept over his shadow. On the bustling streets, such small details happen all the time, and no one cares. Tang Wei walked away in the blink of an eye and turned around the corner. The old woman pulled the young man to argue. Finally, after the young man agreed to buy a bouquet of flowers, the old woman let the young man leave. The old lady selling flowers continued to sell flowers along the street. After walking for a while, the old lady turned and entered an alley on the side of the road. There are not many people in the alley. The old lady picked up an ordinary white narcissus flower in the flower basket and looked at it carefully. I don't know why, but in just a few seconds, the petals of the white narcissus slowly turned black, and then withered and fell to the ground, turning into gray in the blink of an eye. At some point, an old man carrying a pole who was also selling flowers appeared next to the old lady selling flowers. He also looked down at the many withered daffodils in the old lady's hands and sighed softly, he is indeed a demon cub from the blood demon sect. It seems that he should still be a backbone, and his level is not low. Oh, it's such a pity for this lotus pond daffodil. The old lady said with regret. It's not a pity, just pay with his life. That's right. The old lady selling flowers smiled. The next second, the light and shadow in the alley blurred, a gust of wind blew by, and the figures of the old woman selling flowers and the old man disappeared. Even the slight ash on the ground was blown away, leaving no trace. A few seconds later, the lucky boy wearing a red belly band came out from the wall next to him. He looked at the ground, then looked at the direction where the wind had disappeared. He burrowed into the ground and disappeared again. In the secret room, Xiaopinggan opened his eyes and was secretly shocked. He didn't know what the lotus pond narcissus was. He could actually confirm the identity of the Tang family elders by scanning the shadow of the Tang family elders. This Judgment Army's background was really profound. It seems that I have to be more careful in the future. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 216. Xiaopingyan didn't wait long in the secret room. He knew that once the identity of the Tang family elders was confirmed, the subsequent transactions would be a success. The Judgment Army had doubts about the accuracy of the information provided by the mysterious man before. After this time, the Judgment Army's doubts can be dispelled. Sure enough, just over 20 minutes later, Lan Wuivai entered the secret room again. Lan Wuivai's face felt inexplicably relaxed, not as solemn as before. How is it? Has the Tang family elder confirmed it? Xiaopinggan asked knowingly. It's confirmed, Lan Wuivai nodded, the information provided by the mysterious man is accurate. The elder of the Tang family is one of the backbones of the Blood Demon section. The Judgment Army is already monitoring it. That's good. If we can dig out a person from the Blood Demon sect, at least our work is not in vain, Xiaopinggan also looked relieved. The blood demon sect is really pervasive. This is what the mysterious man needs, Lan Wubai said, having already placed another small box in front of Xiaopinggan. The Judgment Army told the mysterious man about the blood demon cult hidden in the Imperial Guard. The members are very interested and hope to know the identity of the blood demon cult member hidden in the Imperial Guard as soon as possible. Also, if you see the mysterious man this time, you can tell him that the Judgment Army and the Great Shang Kingdom have many resources. If he knows other secrets about the blood demon cult, you are welcome to continue to exchange information with us. We will not inquire about his identity, nor will we reveal his existence. We hope that the current relationship can be maintained. If he needs us to provide, we can also discuss any other help. Okay, I will definitely convey it, Xiaopinggan said, reaching out and taking the small box into his space warehouse. 100,000 gold coins and the divine spring of the 5 Yang realm were obtained at once. Xiaopinggan was calm on the surface, but my heart was extremely excited. Through this transaction, the top management of the Judgment Army has seen the huge value of the mysterious man, so they began to take the initiative to show their kindness. The God of Fortune boy is indeed his God of Fortune, and his value is simply inestimable. You have worked hard these days, and this is your reward from above. I hope you will keep up the hard work, Lan Wubai said, and with a move of his hand, he placed a world bead and a spiritual crystal in front of Xiaopinggan. Xiaopinggan took a look at the boundary bead and saw that there was only the word Nangying in small seal script on the boundary bead and the divine sense crystal. He already knew it in his heart. Haha, this is probably a reward given to me by the ruling army because they are afraid that I will lose my mentality. As the middleman with the mysterious man, I watch the mysterious man easily make so much money and obtain so many resources. I will definitely have ideas, so I have to express them appropriately above. After a while, Xiaopinggan walked out of the pawn shop again. After arriving on the street, Xiaopinggan called the fortune god boy and asked the fortune god boy to check and confirm that he was not being followed and that there was nothing wrong with him. Xiaopinggan felt relieved. The Judgment Army's methods were so powerful that Xiaopinggan had to be careful. If the Judgment Army knew that there was no mysterious person from beginning to end, then his small body would not be enough for others to torment him. That night, Xiaopinggan fused the Nangying world bead. Fusion of this world bead is very simple, even an elementary school student can do it. The protagonist of the story of Nangying Jizu is Che Yin from the Jin dynasty. It tells that Che Yin liked to read when he was young, but because of his poor family, Che Yin had to work in the fields during the day and only had time to study at night. However, their family also he couldn't afford lamp oil, so Che Yin thought of a way. He saw that there were many fireflies in the wild, and fireflies would glow. So Che Yin found a piece of thin white cloth, sewed a small bag, and put the caught fireflies in that white cloth pocket. I read a book by the light of fireflies. This is where the name Nangying comes from. Relying on this spirit of diligent study, Che Yin also changed his destiny. From a child of a poor family, he finally became the prefect of Wuxing and the minister of the Ministry of Personnel in the Jin dynasty. The Ru Nangying in the sentence Ru Nangying, like Yang Shui, although the family is poor, never stops learning in 3-character classic tells the story of Che Yin. This world bead brought Xiaopinggan 10 points of divine power. After fusing this world bead, Xiaopinggan's divine power had reached 1,302 points, and he was one step closer to the Air Yang realm. Xiaopinggan now has money in hand, but he does not dare to advance to the second Yang realm rashly for the time being, because the summoner's aura will change somewhat after advancing to the second Yang realm. The blood demon sect's affairs are not over yet, and he is still being wanted. It would be too arrogant to meet Lan Wubai after he advanced to the Air Yang realm in such a short time, and he was simply asking for it. In the past 2 days, Xiaopinggan was walking around the capital city and was already choosing a location for his dream fortune teller business. After choosing and choosing, Xiaopinggan found that the place in Tianyuan Qiao night market was the best. Master Shuiyu does know how to choose a place. That day, Yuanqiao night market was the busiest place in Shangjing city, and there were no white people coming and going. In addition to the summoners, many dignitaries, rich merchants, and businessmen in Shangjing city also visited. As long as they can be in Tianyuanqiao night market sets up its own sign, and the entire Shangjing city will know its name. However, there are too few places suitable for dream fortune-telling business in the streets near Tianyuan Qiao night market, and there are too few shops, courtyards, and attics for sublet. Xiaopinggan went to the dental shop to inquire and looked at a few rentals. I found that the shops were either too small or too remote, the houses were too old, and the streets and alleys outside were too narrow and dilapidated. Dream fortune-telling business in these places would have no style, and it would be difficult to attract wealthy people to patronize them. When doing business, packaging and style are the most important things. If the place you find is not good, it will give people the impression that you are selling luxury goods at a street stall in a night market, and you will never be able to sell them at a high price. The place that can be rented is not suitable, but there are several houses and yards for sale in Tianyuan Bridge that are good, but the price is not very beautiful. The price makes Xiaopinggan feel sick. Xiaopinggan wanted to rent, even if the price was a little higher, it didn't matter, and asked Yahang to contact the landlord, but according to the news from Yahang, the landlord only sold but not rented. After 2 days of being busy outside with his own affairs, the Judgment Army was probably a little anxious waiting. On the 3rd day, Xiaopinggan wore a wig and beard again, and returned to Wuviazai in his true colors. Met Lan Wuivai again. The person from the Blood Demon sect hiding in the Imperial Guard is named Su Minran. He is also a lieutenant in the Imperial Guard and is responsible for the access control of the Daiyuan Gate of the Imperial City. Under Lan Wuivai's expectant eyes, Xiaopinggan revealed the identity of that person. The second update today is tonight. Golden Summoner. Author, Zyu. Chapter 217. In the past few days, the lucky godboy has already figured out the identities of the members of the Blood Demon sect who attended the last secret gathering. Among them, except for one person who is the famous pirate leader who roams the sea, nicknamed the Seven Seas Shark Monster, everyone else has their own status in this capital city. It's just that we still don't know who the altar owner is. When he heard Xiaopinggan say that person's name and heard that that person was actually responsible for restricting access to the Imperial City, Lan Wuivai couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. Verification by the adjudication army is necessary, but since the mysterious man can name this person, there must be no mistake. Fortunately, the Judgment Army and the Dark War God sect wanted to track down the Blood Demon sect's personnel all day long. Unexpectedly, the Blood Demon sect's people had already taken root in the Imperial City, and were actually responsible for the security of the Imperial City. Entering and leaving the Imperial City was like playing, right under the eyes of the adjudicating army and the Great Shang Kingdom. This was simply a huge irony. Before, Lan Wuivai thought that the price of the information that the mysterious man asked for last time was too high. Once he heard about Captain Su's identity, Lan Wuivai felt that the last transaction was too worthwhile. What is 100,000 gold coins and a divine spring that can allow a summoner to break through to the 5 Yang realm? If the Blood Demon cult member in the Judgment Army was not exposed, everyone in the Imperial City would have trouble sleeping and eating, and there would be an earth-shattering chaos at some point. By then, the entire Judgment Army would probably be disgraced and even be implicated. Lan Wuivai suppressed the fear and terror in his heart and asked, "Besides, what else did that person say?" "That man said he had more important information about the Judgment Army." "What is the more important information?" "That person said that these 2 people are not the only members of the Blood Demon cult hiding in Shangjing City. In addition to these 2 people, there are more hidden members of the Blood Demon cult in Shangjing City. Just recently, These people from the Blood Demon cult are planning a big event and want to assassinate someone important in the Imperial City. Assassinate important figures in the Imperial City. Yes, important figures in the Imperial City, that's what that person said. He said that there are at least 5 important figures of the Blood Demon sect hidden in Shangjing City, and there is one more at sea. Even though he was mentally prepared, Lan Wubai was still shocked by the news. There are many important figures in the Imperial City, and those who can be deliberately assassinated by the Blood Demon cult are absolutely important. Once the Blood Demon cult succeeds, the consequences will be disastrous. Who is that person specifically? Xiaopinggan has not released the rooster yet, because at this time, as long as he says that the target of the Bleeding Demon cult is the Crown Prince Baitang Wangchuan, then the subsequent drama will be difficult to perform. If Baitang Wangchuan has prepared and changed the itinerary, how can the information behind him be sold at a high price? Moreover, it is impossible for that mysterious person to be so stupid as to leak the Blood Demon cult's goal before receiving any benefits. Therefore, this goal cannot be made too clear. However, Xiaopinggan also believed that the news he told was enough for the Judgment Army and the people above to deal with it with 200% energy. Lan Wubai looked at Xiaopinggan with a solemn face, took a deep breath, and asked directly, "What does that person want in exchange this time?" 5 million gold coins, the sacred springs of the 6 Yang realm and the 7 Yang realm, and all the information and files about the Dark Tower in the possession of the Great Shang Kingdom. This price was something Xiaopinggan thought about after thinking about it for a long time. If the Shang Kingdom had a divine spring above the 7 Suns realm, Xiaopinggan would certainly not be polite. But unfortunately, the divine springs above the 7 Yang realms are hard to come by. I heard that the divine springs are like living things, fleeting and only in some places. It exists in the void secret realm and cannot be brought out. Therefore, no matter how strong the Great Shang Kingdom is and how rich the country is, it is impossible to bring out the divine springs above the 7 Suns realm. Asking for information about the Dark Tower from the Great Shang Kingdom is a bit risky, as it might expose something. Xiaopinggan doesn't know if there are other people who have any feelings about the Dark Tower besides sky travelers like himself. Interest. But Xiaopinggan couldn't help it. He had already been to the Dashang Library in Shangjing City these days, but after arriving at the library, he searched for some information and consulted some professionals before he learned that all the people related to the Lord Demon God and the Blood Demon cult relevant information books are taboo items in the Great Shang Kingdom. They are collected by the Royal Library and the Sutra Collection Hall of the Dark God of War. These things cannot be found in libraries open to ordinary people. Destroying the Tower of Darkness and protecting the Earth from space invasion is the mission of people like Xiaopinggan who came to this world. At this time, Xiaopinggan can only maximize the value of the information he has about the Blood Demon cult and take the opportunity to propose this require. Lan Wubai left the room. Xiaopinggan was waiting in the room, feeling a little uneasy. This time, after waiting for more than 3 hours, Lan Wubai re-entered the room from the secret passage and placed 2 boxes, one large and one small, in front of Xiaopinggan. The sacred springs of the 7 Suns realm are already very precious. They are hard to find, and they have strict requirements on where they can be stored. Although the Great Shang Kingdom has some storage, the place where the sacred springs of the 7 Suns realm are stored is not in the upper capital. The 7 Suns realm, it takes more than a month to transport the divine spring from the storage place to the upper capital, so this time we can only provide the divine spring of the 6 Yang realm. Here is a gold ticket of 500,000 yuan. Inside the jade slip in this box is a large copies of all the information and files on the Dark Tower that Shang State possesses. Lan Wubai stroked the 2 boxes and said sternly to Xiaopinggan, "You can tell that person that as long as the information he provides this time is accurate, we guarantee him in the name of the Judgment Army that in 1 month, we will have the sacred spring in the 7 Sun realm. It can be provided to him on time and he can come and collect it at any time." "Okay, I'll tell you." Xiaopinggan put away his things without changing his expression. Damn it, it really is like this. When it comes to the safety of important people in the imperial city, the adjudicator agreed to the price offered by the mysterious man without even paying back the price. He didn't dare to delay at all. As for the divine spring in the Seven Sun realm, Xiaopinggan really has no confidence that he can still get the divine spring in the Seven Sun realm in a month. Maybe this is God's will, and it can't be perfect. Because this visit to Wuvaizai is already Xiaopinggan's last visit. Once these things are obtained, Xiaopinggan will be ready to disappear. For Xiaopinggan, every time he came to Wuvaizai, it was like walking a tightrope on a 10,000-meter cliff. And as more members of the Blood Demon sect are exposed, his identity as a space traveler may be exposed at any time. With each passing day, the possibility of Xiaopinggan's identity being exposed increases, especially since this time he also took the risk to obtain information about the Dark Tower. If the Judgment Army once learned of his identity as a sky traveler, they might get involved. Xiaopinggan walked out of the fearless room with calm steps, his little heart beating hard. As soon as he walked out of Wuvaizai, he called out the god of fortune boy and asked him to sit on his shoulder, paying attention to the surrounding environment and situation at all times. Fortunately, this time it was the same as the previous two. There is nothing unusual around. Or perhaps the adjudication army was more worried that the mysterious man would slip up and leave at this critical moment, so they didn't dare to act rashly. Xiaopinggan left Wuvaizai without any danger and disappeared into the vast crowd of people in Shangjing. Shopkeeper Lan of Wuvaizai is waiting for news about Xiaopinggan, and the entire Judgment Army is also waiting for news about Xiaopinggan. The next night, an unattractive black dog walked silently through Bailing Lane in the night and came to the door of Wuvaizai. There were still two guys standing at the door of Wuvaizai. The big dog took one look at the sign of Wuvaizai and rushed directly into Wuvaizai. Ah, why did this dog rush to Wuvaizai? The two Wuvaizai guys guarding the door quickly chased the big black dog. But the big black dog was extremely fast. Before the two guys guarding the door could react, the big black dog had already rushed to the front hall of Wuvaizai and barked at Lan Wuvai, who was still behind the counter in the front hall. Two sounds successfully attracted Lan Wuvai's attention, and then the big black dog ran directly towards the back hall of Wuvaizai, and then ran directly to the door of the Xiangzi room in the back hall and squatted down. Shopkeeper, that big black dog ran in without us noticing. The two guys from Wuvaizai ran in panting. I will take care of that dog. You don't have to worry about it. Go back. Lan Wuvai felt that the dog actually ran to the door of the Xiangzi room in the back hall and squatted down. He was shocked and quickly asked the two guys to go back. He was quickly when he came to the door of the Xiangzi room in the back hall, he took a closer look at the dog. Only then did Lan Wuvai realize that the big dog was not a real dog, but a summoned object by the summoner. Who asked you to come? Lan Wuvai asked. The big black dog didn't bark. He just raised a front paw and pointed at the door of the room with the surname Xiang. This dog is so smart. Lan Wuvai's heart moved and he opened the door of Xiangzi Hao's room. The big black dog walked into the room, and so did Lan Wuvai. Can we talk now? Lan Wuvai asked. The big black dog lay on the coffee table in the room, lowered his head, and spit out a sealed white wax pill from his mouth. After confirming that there was nothing wrong with the wax pill, Lan Wuvai picked up the wax pill and crushed it. Inside the wax pill was a rolled-up piece of paper. When the paper was unfolded, it revealed a letter written in small characters. Shopkeeper Lan, the target of the Blood Demon sect is the Crown Prince Baitang Wangchuan. They are preparing to attend the launching ceremony of the new admiralship of the Great Shang Navy and the subsequent fleet review on May 15 when His Royal Highness the Crown Prince goes to Beihai Port. Assassinated His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. In addition to the two members of the Blood Demon sect who have been exposed earlier, an altar leader of the Blood Demon sect will take action personally. In addition to the altar leader, The other main members of the Blood Demon cult who are hidden in Shangjing City and will participate in this assassination are, Hong Defa, the president of Shangjing Trading Company, Zhou Das-han, the blacksmith of Balian Iron Works, Hu Mo, the master of Qilongmen sect, Luo Liadeng, the watchman on South Street in Beijing, Di Jingjing, the shopkeeper of Untu Inn outside the city, and Yu Xinglong, the shark demon from the Seven Seas. The mysterious man said that if this cooperation goes well, he might be able to provide us with information in the future. The last signature on this piece of paper is not well known. The target of the Blood Demon cult was actually His Highness the Crown Prince, which made Lan Wuivai feel nervous. The news brought by Xiaoping'an is extremely urgent and exciting. But, why didn't Xiaoping'an come, but sent a dog to deliver the letter? What does it mean? Lan Wuivai was full of doubts and couldn't figure it out. He looked at the big black dog that delivered the message, only to find that the figure of the big black dog gradually blurred and actually disappeared in front of him, leaving no clues behind. No matter why Xiaoping'an didn't come, this news must be informed to the adults immediately. Golden Summoner. Author, Zy Hu. Chapter 218. The Tower of Darkness, that powerful artifact built with fear stones to suppress the subdimensional world, in the world of gods and demons, in the eyes of the gods, it is like barbs, like nails, and like lighthouses in the sea of the universe, inserted into the universes of the subplans, endlessly absorbing the dark energy of the subplanes. That dark energy is like a tide, like a fog, love like a storm surges in different levels of space, radiates from the consciousness of every living thing, and then converges to the Tower of Darkness like a stream. Those living beings in the subplane do not know the order of their own plane and world in the universe, and they do not understand the mystery and meaning of life. They are like weeds in the wilderness, coming from the fire. Harvest. When the fire rolls through the wilderness, all living beings squeeze out their lives and emit energy such as pain, killing, sadness, fear, greed, disappointment, panic, etc. These are the harvested fruits and the feast of the devil. The Forbidden Book. There are only two original emotions of life, love or fear, and fear is the root of all negative energy. The source of power that dominates the devil is fear. Fear brings killing, pain, greed, and all evil. The battle between gods and demons is everywhere. The final and first war is in every consciousness and thought of all creatures in the universe. The battle between gods and demons. The overlord demon god has countless agents in the subdimensional worlds. It is a conspiracy between humans and demons. The overlord demon god gives the agents various abilities, power, money, immortality, and agents use their own abilities and power to rule the world, creating fear, war, oppression, exploitation, pain, and paying tribute to mortal fears as sacrifices. Those mortals will not know why the superiors are keen to create fear, war, pain, and disease, which are not entirely derived from the need to rule, because that is a contract, a peaceful and tranquil world, and it is the agent. What I hate most is that it represents their incompetence and dereliction of duty. No one is harvested. The darkest secret. The god of creation roared angrily, and the entire void began to shake and shatter. Billions of miles of galaxies were broken in the anger of the god of creation. Infinite fire gushes out from the god of creation, the blood of the god of creation drips. Every drop of blood turns into 100 giant dragons, each of which has the power to crush the stars. The god who controls disease fell in the flames of the god of creation. The kingdom of God collapsed and turned into nothingness. This was the first god to fall. The body of the god of wind was submerged in the blood of the god of creation, melting little by little. The kingdom of God collapsed, turned into countless winds, and blew down the stars. The god of creation used all his strength to smash the towers of darkness with his own kingdom. The chain of order that dominated the demon god collapsed for the first time. Another world is free. Era of creation. Countless texts and historical files appeared in front of Xiaoping'an. Xiaopinggan could only read them word by word, page by page. In the secret room, Xiaopinggan held a crystal jade slip in his hand and sat cross-legged on the futon. His whole mind was immersed in the words on the jade slip for an unknown amount of time. There are too many files and documents about the Dark Tower in the possession of the Great Shang Kingdom. They have accumulated tens of millions of texts, pictures, and various information for countless years, all of which are contained in this jade slip. The information in this jade slip was definitely not pieced together temporarily, but was originally preserved in this way by the Great Shang Kingdom. As for Xiaopinggan, as soon as he immersed his mind into the jade slip, Xiaopinggan was addicted to the words in the jade slip. The secrets of the Dark Tower were so amazing that people couldn't stop. At the end of those materials, the last line that Xiaopinggan saw in the jade slip was, "This jade slip is only for reference by those with the position of counselor bishop and above. This jade slip is the archives of the Dark God of War cult." Xiaopinggan in the secret room finally opened his eyes. He looked at the special red candle on the wall. The candle is called magic spermaceti. It is made by a special method. The raw material contains the oil of magic whale. One magic spermaceti can be lit for just 1 month. In the secret room, spermaceti also has the effect of getting rid of mosquitoes, snakes, rats and calming the mind. Efficacy is the favorite of retreat ants. The candle that was originally more than a foot long is now less than 1/3 left. Looking at the short piece of magic spermaceti, Xiaopinggan hissed slightly and murmured to himself, "Has it been so many days?" Xiaopinggan spread his legs and got off the futon and stone bed. Then he moved his hands, feet, and body in the secret room, and then walked out of the secret room and came outside. It was quiet at night in the small courtyard, the stars and moonlight were pouring down, and only the crickets were chirping tirelessly in the garden. These days, only the black dragon was standing outside. Seeing Xiaopinggan coming out of the secret room, the black dragon immediately ran over wagging its tail. Xiaopinggan habitually took out the pocket watch and took a look at it. Then he remembered that the watch had not been wound for so many days, and that the pocket watch had been stopped for an unknown number of days. Xiaopinggan walked to the yard, with his hands behind his back. He looked up at the gorgeous stars in the sky with deep eyes. His thoughts were ups and downs, and his mood was difficult to calm down. Among the information and files in the Dark Tower, Xiaopinggan discovered one thing. If he wanted to destroy the Dark Tower, he must become a god. Only existences at the level of gods in this world have the ability to discover and destroy the Tower of Darkness. This discovery made Xiaopinggan not know whether he should cry or laugh. Xiaopinggan bets that those who formulated the skymending plan on Earth would never have imagined that the prerequisite for ending the space invasion and destroying the Tower of Darkness was to become a god in this world. If a mortal wants to become a god, the road will be difficult and long. Some of those materials were descriptions of how to become a god in this world. Because those descriptions were a bit scattered and incomplete, Xiaopinggan could only get a faint glimpse of the path to becoming a god. When the 10 suns gathered in a summoner secret mandala, the summoner it will be possible for the secret mandala to be transformed into the kingdom of God. Xiaopinggan didn't know how to transform it specifically. He only knew that this step was called condensing the kingdom of gods in the conferred gods. In addition, the most important thing about the canonization of gods is that all the gods in this world who have been canonized as gods seem to have their own areas of expertise, and these areas are unique. There are no 2 gods whose names are the same. Completely consistent. The area in which a god specializes is consistent with the name of the god. The 2 come together and are called the Godhead of the god. Divine kingdom and divine status seem to be the 2 most critical factors for becoming a god. Xiaopinggan doesn't know exactly what is going on. The only thing he knows is that the ultimate pursuit of all the powerful people below the gods in this world is to become a god. I really force myself to take this path. If you can't reach the end, don't blame me. I will try my best, but who dares to say that I will definitely become a god, Xiaopinggan murmured to himself. In just the blink of an eye, the black dragon that had just seen Xiaopinggan look at his pocket watch, shake his head and run away has come back. Not only did the black dragon come back, it also ran up to Xiaopinggan with a newspaper in its mouth. Because he had a fixed residence, Xiaopinggan ordered a copy of Shangjing Daily. These days, a postman would deliver a copy of Shangjing Daily to the mailbox of this house every day. The opening of the newspaper collection box is outside the door, and the box is inside the door. Just now, He Long took the Shangjing Daily back in his mouth. The date in the Shangjing Daily is May 12th. In a prominent position on the front page of the newspaper, there is a piece of news introducing that Das Hang will hold a grand naval review ceremony at Bihai Port 3 days later, that is, on May 15th there will also be Das Hang's new battleships. Get into the water. According to the principle of newspapers reporting news, these newspapers will not leak the whereabouts of important figures in the Great Shang Kingdom in advance, but this news still gave Xiaopinggan a different smell. After receiving their own information, Das Hang State held a new ship launching ceremony and ship review at Bihai Port as scheduled. It seemed that nothing had changed, but it was this lack of change that made Xiaopinggan feel a little unusual. In 3 days' time, Bihai Port will probably be unimaginably lively. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 219. On May 15th, Das Hang State Bihai Port. The weather in Bihai Port today is very good. The entire Bihai Port has flags and colorful flags fluttering. The jubilant people are waving the national flag of the Great Shang Kingdom and the military flag of the Navy. They gather at the docks on both sides of the Bihai Port shipyard and on the coast opposite the dock. Everyone is eagerly waiting, preparing to see the latest generation of battleships of the Great Shang Kingdom and the elegance of His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. In the dry dock of the shipyard, the latest generation battleship of Das Hang Kingdom was covered with colorful flags and ribbons, like a warrior about to go on an expedition, quietly waiting for the moment of launching. Around the dock, dignitaries gathered, and on the viewing platform, most of them were naval generals and officers from the Great Shang Kingdom wearing white Navy uniforms. In addition to Navy generals and officers, shipyard directors, worker representatives, local officials, and gentlemen from Bihai, steel plant representatives, heads of various research institutes, and many big shots from Shangjing City gathered here. Only by sitting on both sides of the viewing platform can one truly feel the huge sense of oppression brought by the latest generation of warships from Das Hang Kingdom. The displacement of 19,800 tons, the weight of the armor alone is 5,600 tons, the length of 528 feet, the width of 77 feet, and the huge cannons on the warship that are all over the ship like a steel forest, making the warship parked in the dock look like mountains. It is full of oppression. The rising sun shone on the battleship, casting a huge shadow on the northwest side of the dock. The shadow shrouded an area on the edge of the viewing platform, forcing people sitting on the viewing platform and nearby to raise their heads. Only by craning his neck can he see the majestic figure of the battleship clearly. Just behind the edge area of the auditorium, separated by a row of Navy sailors in uniforms and holding rifles, is where the important figures on the auditorium stay with their attendants. Yan Duo was among a group of attendants, raising his head and looking at the huge battleship. At this moment, Yan Duo no longer has a head full of flowing white hair. Instead, he has short, neat black hair and a little beard. He is completely different from before. Yan Duo is wearing a black outfit and a beard. Wearing a hat and a dagger hanging from his waist, he is both handsome and cool and charming. Yan Duo curled his lips slightly, squinted his eyes, looked at the huge battleship, and murmured in his heart, "It seems that the technological development level of this great merchant country is not bad, as they have built a battleship of this size. Yes, as long as the power of the cannonballs is enough, Not many flesh and blood bodies can stand up to the giant ship's cannon. Of course, there are summoners who can fight against cannons, but even if they have such ability, not many summoners are willing to use their divine power to compete with gunpowder. Moreover, I heard that these battleships in the Navy also have onboard summoners. By the way, I wonder if Xiaopingan and Zhang Duo also had an accident during the space teleportation and were teleported to other places. Xiaopingan probably didn't expect that he had already reached the Yang realm in such a short period of time. He should have finally surpassed that pervert this time. If he met again, he should be able to see the surprised expression on his face. As he thought about it, Yan Duo's thoughts couldn't help but become a little wandering, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. "Brother, who did you follow?" Next to Yan Duo, there was a fat middle-aged man sitting. The middle-aged man touched Yan Duo with his arm and asked in a low voice. The middle-aged man's words immediately brought Yan Duo's thoughts back to the scene. "Ahem, I am Count Lin Qing's driver and bodyguard." Yan Duo tilted his head. Count Lin Qing, that beautiful widow who owns several docks and a fleet in the North Sea and exclusively occupies the trade route with Yaoang Island. The middle-aged man was stunned for a moment, and then looked at Yan Duo with envy. He winked and said in a tone that all men understand, "Hey, brother, you are so lucky." Yan Duo shrugged and looked towards the viewing platform in the distance. In a prominent position on the viewing platform, a beautiful woman in her 30s wearing a long blue dress, white gloves and a lady's hat happened to turn around and met Yan Duo's eyes. One time. The woman smiled lovingly, and Yan Duo returned the smile, raised his eyebrows, pursed his lips, and blew a kiss. The woman's face turned slightly red. "Alas, for the earth and for mankind, I can only sacrifice myself. Is it easy for me?" Yan Duo himself was almost moved by his spirit of sacrifice. "His Royal Highness the Prince's airship is here," someone in the crowd suddenly said. Then everyone's eyes turned to an airship in the sky almost at the same time. It was a beautiful silver-white airship, flying from the north, attracting everyone's attention. Seeing the airship, many people cheered and waved their flags desperately among the crowds on both sides of the dock and on the other side. After a while, the airship landed steadily in an open area near the dry dock. On the open ground, a large group of people gathered around. Yan Duo and the others were here and had no qualifications to get close. They could only watch the airship's hatch open, and then a man in a gorgeous dress walked out of the airship's hatch and waved to the surroundings. The Crown Prince of the Great Shang Kingdom, Baitang Wangchuan, got off the airship, followed by a group of guards and an old man in black robes. After Baitang Wangchuan said a few words to the people who greeted him, he came to the viewing platform at the dry dock. As the military band began to play music, the launching ceremony of the battleship officially began. The commander of the Great Shang North Sea Fleet presided over the ceremony. Baitang Wangchuan delivered a short but inspiring speech. Later, Baitang Wangchuan lit incense and used the incense in his hand to light a string of salute guns hung on the bow of the battleship. In the roaring salute, the Easter egg on the bow of the battleship exploded, and the sky was full of colorful ribbons and sweet wine sprinkled from the bow of the battleship. Then, the huge battleship of tens of thousands of tons followed the slide rails and emerged directly from the dock. Rushing into the sea, it set off a huge wave in the sea, and the snow-white water splashed dozens of meters high from the sea. Warm applause and cheers broke out from the crowd watching the ceremony and onlookers. Colorful ribbons all over the sky fell from the sky. Many of them fell directly towards Baitang Wangchuan, but suddenly, the thousands of colored ribbons turned into blades. Thousands of blades were as fast as lightning at such a close distance, cutting towards Baitang Wangchuan from all directions like a storm. This time, I was caught off guard. The huge waves and waves caused by the launch of the battleship suddenly became 10 times more violent. The sea water surged, and the waves suddenly became tens of meters high, turning into huge waves. The huge waves immediately crushed the tens of thousands of tons of warships, and then slapped towards the shore. Among the waves and spray, at the same time, two sparkling 100-meter-long dragons flew out, opened their big mouths, and engulfed Baitang Wangchuan. Damn it! Yan Duo was stunned. Someone actually assassinated Baitang Wangchuan here, and the attack was so terrifying. Golden Summoner. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 220. This huge change only occurred in an instant, leaving little time for Baitang Wangchuan and the people on the auditorium to react. Even a summoner like Yan Duo had a thought flash through his mind at the moment he realized something was wrong. The huge waves, water dragons, and the storm condensed by the blades had already enveloped the whole place, and there was no time to do anything. Reaction. The Crown Prince Baitang Wangchuan, who was in the storm, also had a look of shock and panic on his face, but he was very calm and did not panic. He just leaned back slightly and wanted to get off the stage. At this moment, a man in black robe appeared next to Baitang Wangchuan. The man in black robe had been following Baitang Wangchuan just now. He was inconspicuous, but at this critical moment, that person was, like the shadow beside Baitang Wangchuan, it appeared instantly. With a cold snort, the man in black robe stretched out a hand, and 6 warriors wearing golden armor suddenly appeared next to Baitang Wangchuan. The armored warriors each held huge golden shields and stood beside Baitang Wangchuan. Around him, his body and giant shield, like 6 door panels, densely protected Baitang Wangchuan. The storm-like blades all slashed the bodies of the 6 golden armored warriors and their shields. For a moment, the 6 giant shields and the bodies of the 6 golden armored warriors were cut by countless blades, leaving behind hundreds of thousands of tiny scars. Although it was just a flash of lightning, to the 6 golden armored warriors, it was as if they had experienced the baptism of time for thousands of years. The bodies of the 6 warriors were as old, weathered, and lost their luster like sand dunes in the storm of blades. Finally shattered, turned into light points and dissipated, and the blade storm was completely shattered. At this moment, the man in black robe stretched out an old hand and said 2 words coldly to the huge waves and water dragons rushing towards him: ice. As soon as these 2 words were spoken, an icy aura enveloped the entire place, and the scorching summer morning at the harbor instantly turned into a world of ice and snow. The water dragon that rushed at it with its claws and fangs was frozen in the air, and its body turned into ice. It suddenly lost its flexibility and became stiff, like a monster with rusty joints. The huge waves that swept over everything and the sea outside the dry dock were instantly frozen by ice. Even the entire hull of the battleship that had just been launched was frozen by ice, frozen together with the rolling water waves around it. Leaning on the water, everything that was frozen was like stopping time completely. Broken. The old man in black robe spat out the 3rd word. The frozen giant waves and water dragons were all shattered in an instant, shattered, shattered. As the old man in black robe waved his sleeves, a strong wind suddenly rose, and the crushed ice shards flew all over the sky. Like heavy snow, it fell from the sky one after another, and it started to snow heavily in the entire Bihai port. The terrifying water dragon and giant wave-killing moves turned invisible. The citizens who were watching the ceremony in the distance saw heavy snow falling from the sky before they could see clearly what was happening. There are assassins. It was only at this moment that the underworld governor of Bihai port, whose smile was completely frozen on his face, shouted at the top of his lungs. Only then did everyone react instantly, and the viewing platform became a mess. What just happened, from the beginning of the assassination and the emergence of the blade storm to the last heavy snow falling in Bihai port, only 1 second passed. The tens of thousands of tons of battleship that had just been frozen in ice hit the sea again at this time. Most of the ship's hull was pressed underwater like a child's toy by the huge force between heaven and earth and then emerged from the water. It rebounded and floated, setting off waves of huge waves. Yan Duo was so shocked that his eyes almost fell out. Whether it was the assassin or the old man in black robe next to the crown prince, Yan Duo felt in one word, strong. That has reached an inhuman level. In such a contest, if an ordinary summoner rushes forward, or even a summoner from the second Yang realm or the 3 Yang realm rushes forward, he will be instantly wiped out. There was a panic on the auditorium, and Yan Duo didn't care much at this time. With a flash of his body, he passed over the attendants around him and rushed towards Count Lin Qing to take the countess out of that dangerous place. The countess's face turned pale, and she glanced at Yan Duo in panic. Of course, at this time, Yan Duo did not forget to shout, "Don't panic, I'm coming." Well, the movements must be handsome, the actions must be clean and neat, the expression on the face must be unhesitating and risk everything, the eyes must only be looking at her, the eyes must be focused and affectionate, and cannot look at others. Yan Duo said to himself. Sure enough, looking at Yan Duo, who was rushing towards her like a sharp arrow in the panic, the countess' face showed a trace of obsession and emotion. The assassination isn't over yet, it's just the beginning. Crown Prince Baitang Wang Chuan retreated from the stage under the protection of the guards around him. The first wave of waves hit by the battleship on the sea had just fallen. The next second, a huge and terrifying hand stretched out from the water. He grabbed the still shaking battleship, and then a giant with a red light flashing all over his body and almost 300 to 400 meters tall slowly stood up from the sea and stood on the sea like a hill. The tens of thousands of tons of battleships were lifted up by the giant with both hands, and then they smashed towards the dry dock and the place where the Crown Prince Baitang Wang Chuan was. From the ground, the battleship crashing down from the sky looked like a mountain falling from the sky. Yan Duo, who was dragging the countess towards the distance, felt the sky darken. He turned around and saw the huge battleship falling from the sky. Damn it! Yan Duo was so frightened that he broke into a cold sweat. Without thinking, he summoned a 1,000-mile horse. The moment the mount was summoned, he jumped on the horse with the countess. The 1,000-mile horse neighed, spread its hooves, and carried the horse. With the 2 people behind them, they jumped over the 1-meter-high guardrail and obstacle in front of them, and ran desperately. The tens of thousands of tons of battleships did not crash down because, almost instantly, the same giant was summoned. The summoned giant grabbed the battleship that crashed down from the sky with both hands. 2 giants, one in the water, one was on the shore, holding the huge battleship with 4 hands, and started wrestling. The huge hull of the battleship began to twist, and the tens of thousands of tons of steel began to deform like twists. The tall superstructures and cannons on the battleship began to bend and break. The sound of the battleship's keel breaking and creaking was heartbreaking. The acid shook the eardrums of everyone within 10 miles. The citizens watching from a distance were stunned. If many people hadn't realized what happened just now, and everyone was still wondering if the snowflakes in the sky were a special welcome ceremony, then now everyone knew that something was wrong. Boom! At this moment, there was an earth-shaking huge explosion from the ammunition depot of the military port further away. There were also many places in Bihai Port City where raging fires broke out at the same time. To make matters worse, among the crowd of onlookers, someone suddenly dropped the national flag and navy flag in his hand, took out the gun he was carrying, and started shooting at the policemen and sailors who were maintaining order, shouting while shooting. Kill Baitang Wang Chuan, massacre Bihai Port. Gunshots and explosions resounded throughout Bihai Port, and the entire port and the entire city were in chaos. Over there at the viewing platform, the giant standing on the shore roared, grabbing the huge battleship with both hands, and rushed towards the giant in the water with the man and the ship. Because the giant in the water stood shorter, the 2 giants together, the completely twisted battleship suddenly fell into the sea, causing huge waves more than 100 meters high. The man in black robe next to Baitang Wang Chuan had already flashed and submerged into the sea when the 2 giants fell into the sea at the same time. In the blink of an eye, Waves surged on the water, and two figures flew up from the sea, one after the other, towards the distant sea. Only a few people present could see that the one behind the two figures was the man in black robe next to Baitang Wang Chuan. The man in black robe was chasing another figure wearing a gold mask and flying away quickly. "Hurry up and protect His Highness the Crown Prince and leave." The guards around Baitang Wang Chuan almost went crazy. One by one, those guards put on their sky armors, escorted Baitang Wang Chuan, and flew away from here without even using an airship. If you really encounter an assassination, the airship has a large target and is not very fast. It will be a target while flying in the sky and must be abandoned immediately. Huge waves came from the sea and washed away the hanging towers and buildings beside the dry dock. On a mountain outside Bihai Port City, Tang Wei, the elder of the Tang family who had been ambushing here for a long time and wearing a ghost mask on his face, looked at Baitang Wang Chuan, the guards, and the chaos flying in from the direction of Bihai Port. Bihai Port licked his lips and was about to cast a spell. Suddenly, Tang Wei heard someone behind him sigh quietly. That sigh was like thunder, almost making the hairs on the head of the Tang family stand on end. He turned around and saw behind him, at some point, a man holding a flower basket and wearing a blue dress had appeared behind him. Old woman in headscarf. "Elder Tang, does the head of the Tang family know about your joining the blood demon cult?" The old woman looked at Tang Wei and asked quietly. "Who is she and how does she know her identity? When did you get targeted?" At this time, this question flashed through Tang Wei's mind, but reality no longer allowed him to think too much. Tang Wei quickly backed away without thinking, but the old woman carrying the flower basket took out an embroidery needle and pointed it at Tang Wei, stabbed over. In just an instant, Tang Wei felt that the world around him was filled with densely packed embroidery needles. The red threads connected to the embroidery needles cut through the surrounding space like a dense network, turning into a series of red threads. The wall blocked his escape route. A name suddenly flashed through Elder Tang's head, and he shouted in horror, "Grandma Yu of the Judgment Army. And me, the faceless ghost." Another voice sounded in his ears. At this moment, before Elder Tang could react, he felt a pain in his chest, and the bright tip of the knife had already emerged from his chest. Elder Tang turned his head with difficulty, but saw that there was nothing behind him, no one, but the knife inserted into his body looked like someone was holding it. The energy, blood, and spirit of Tang Wei's whole body rushed towards the knife like a flood that broke a bank, and was absorbed by the knife. The knife greedily absorbed the energy and blood of Tang Wei's whole body. In the blink of an eye, it became an enchanting pink color. On the tip of the knife, there were two strange eyes that slowly opened and looked at the world around them. The blade trembled slightly, and the sound of chewing and devouring flesh and blood came from the blade. In just a few breaths, Tang Wei turned into mummies and dust, scattered on the ground with a crash. The ghost mask was still spinning twice on the ground, and the contents of the space equipment exploded all over the ground. Grandma Yu put away her embroidery needle, glanced at the demon sword with its eyes a little wary, took a step back, and sighed softly, "Don't use this demon sword sparingly. If you can't control it, hand it over to the secret treasury for sealing bar." The strange demon sword disappeared, and only a slightly hoarse voice came from the void, "Oh, I can't help but let go of this demon sword after using it once. Don't worry, I will be fine before I kill my enemy." Grandma Yu said nothing more, but disappeared in the blink of an eye. The battle is not over yet. There are explosions in the distance in the direction of the governor's palace of Bihai Port. The blood demon sect has spent a lot of money this time, using many people.